What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure review. And today we're taking a look at the brand new Marvel Select Titanium Man. And I'm very excited about this figure because, in my opinion, Marvel Select has been killing it with the comic book based figures this year. Even though they haven't really put out a whole lot of figures, the ones they have put out have been awesome. Hulk and Iron Man are some of the best figures that I've seen from Marvel Select. So they're killing it, and I'm very excited about this because it's an old school, classic looking Titanium Man, and that's always awesome. So let's go ahead and get into it, starting off with the packaging. Like all Marvel Select figures, he comes in this big, bulky packaging with a bunch of plastic and cardboard. A lot of the times, they use this same exact packaging for smaller figures, so it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. There's a lot of waste, but in this case, we have this big, huge Titanium Man. He fills up the box nicely. You can see the figure there. You can see the accessories that he comes with, and then we have some artwork here in the front. On the side it says Titanium Man Marvel Select. On the side of the box we get some really cool looking artwork of Titanium Man fighting against Iron Man, and then on the back we get a look at the figure itself, we get a look at the unmasked head, and then a little bit of information about the Titanium Man armor. So there we go. And man, this thing just looks insane. He's so big that like it kind of damaged the box in shipping. And like I saw him at a local comic book store. There was two of them. Both of them had like damaged boxes, and it has to be just because of how big and massive the figure is. But anyways, enough about this crazy ass box. Let's go ahead and take this figure out and take a look. Woo, damn. All right, so Marvel Select definitely has another banger on their hands with this guy right here because this thing came out awesome. I really like what we have going on here. The articulation is obviously a little bit limited, but that's to be expected because he's such a big, bulky character. But even though that's the case, he's still a lot of fun to play with, and mostly because all the joints feel so smooth. Everything on him moves very easily. I had no problems at all. I didn't feel like anything was stuck or that anything was gonna break. He just felt very good right out of the box. So I'm having fun messing with him. Even though he doesn't have the most articulation in the world, it's still pretty fun to handle. But man, look at this thing. It is so awesome. But let's go ahead and swap out his head, because even though the unmasked head is a good looking head sculpt, and we'll take a closer look at it later, it's all about this right here. Woo, look at that. Man, that is dope. He definitely looks like he's going to give Iron Man some trouble. Man, I love this face design. I love the eyes and the mouth, how they kind of look like they're glowing. On this figure, obviously, he doesn't have light up features or anything, but it kind of comes across like those things on his face are glowing because the whole figure is dark. So you got all these dark colors, and then you have this bright yellow on the face, and it really pops and definitely gives it that kind of glowing vibe. But man, I love that. The head sculpt is so cool, and just everything about this figure looks great. But look at it, man. Very impressive right out of the box. I'm super happy with it, having a lot of fun playing with it, and it's just good stuff. But let's go ahead and get in close and take a look at the details on this guy. Starting off with this head, I think they did a pretty good job with the sculpting work on it, but I really am unimpressed with the paint on this head sculpt. I think they really could have done a better job. It looks sloppy and kind of amateurish, and it kind of feels like a custom painted head sculpt done by somebody who really doesn't know how to do skin tones. So that's kind of how this comes across. I keep telling myself that it works for a guy who's kind of hot and uncomfortable and just angry. You know, like looking at it through that lens, it's like, oh, it's okay. But to be honest, like the paint work is just not very good. They could have done a better job with it. And it's a shame because the head sculpt looks nice. You could tell there's some good detail on there. But the paint work just is kind of not good, man. Just doesn't look good at all. So I would be curious to see a talented painter paint this up and see how it would come out. But as it is right now, I think they could have done a better job with it. But I'll be honest with you, I don't care about that head sculpt. I'm probably never going to put it back on the figure because this figure is going to rock this head sculpt for all times. And this right here is super nice. I think they did a really good job with this simple design. I love the black face with the illuminated eyes and mouth. I think that is really nice. On the side of the head we have some details, and then on the top of the head we have this little monitor type of thing, I guess you could call it. But yeah, this head sculpt came out really, really good. Yeah, I think that looks great. And then moving down into the rest of the body, it's kind of hard to see because of how dark the figure is, but he does have some sculpting work throughout. We've got these little rivet things, I guess you could call them, on the body, and a bunch of details everywhere. So it looks really good. We've got this skirt thing that is soft plastic, so it doesn't really get in the way at all. This all looks good. I love the dark green on here too. It would be nice if it was a little bit more metallic looking, but as it is right now, I think it looks pretty damn good. So yeah, it's a very good looking figure. I do have a couple of small, like, paint imperfections, like a little nick right there, and then up here it gets a little light. But that's about it. Aside from that, I think it's well painted. I like the color. I like the sculpting work on it. Not a whole lot going on in the back. It's kind of hard to see because of how dark it is, man, but the details are there and it looks really good. I like these things on the lower legs. This kind of feels like old school, like what, you know, a lot of old designs from comic books, they do things and you're just like, what is that? Like, and that's that's what I get from this. I'm like, what the hell are those lines? And at the bottom of the feet, we have his silver treads, so that's cool. But yeah, it's a great looking figure for sure. I'm just not crazy about this alternate head sculpt. You know, I think I would like to see somebody repaint it and see how it would come out. But yeah, like I said, it's all good because Titanium Man is going to look like this on my shelf forever. So yeah, I really like the way this guy looks. And for accessories, aside from the two heads that we've already looked at, he does come with two different sets of hands. So first off, we have a pair of fists, and then we have a set of open hands. It would have been nice if they found a way to give us some type of effects or like a diorama like they used to, but I completely understand that they left that stuff out, especially considering that he's such a big, huge piece of plastic. I'm happy that they gave us something, so the extra sets of hands are definitely appreciated. Alright, so now for some size comparisons. As you can see, Titanium Man is a huge beast of a figure. And in my opinion, I think that that works with pretty much any type of Iron Man figure that you want to put with him as long as he's smaller than Titanium Man. As you can see, he looks good next to the Marvel Select Silver Centurion Iron Man, and he looks good next to the Marvel Legends Modular Iron Man. And in the comics, if you go to like Google or whatever and just type in Titanium Man Marvel and just look at all the different pictures of Titanium Man, he's always like a different size. Sometimes he is that much bigger than Iron Man, so that really works right there for Marvel Legends, but he still looks good next to Marvel Select because he's also a monster next to your Iron Man, your Marvel Select Iron Man figure. He still looks bigger. So I feel like this is accurate to the comics because, like I said, he does have an inconsistent size in the comics. Sometimes he's a little bit bigger than Iron Man, and then sometimes he is like double the size of Iron Man. So I really like the scale of this figure. It does feel very versatile, and it works with different types of Iron Man figures. So I'm happy with how big this character turned out. And then next up, we have him alongside the Marvel Legends Artificial Intelligence Iron Man from the Hyde Build-A-Figure wave. And because he's probably going to need some backup dealing with Titanium Man, we have him alongside the Marvel Legends Deluxe War Machine. And once again, I think he looks really good next to this size Iron Man. And then next up, we have Titanium Man alongside the Mezco 112 Collective Classic Iron Man, and then the Sentinel Armorized Iron Man. And then next up, we have him alongside the Marvel Legends Ursa Major Build-A-Figure. And then on the opposite side, we have the Marvel Select Rampaging Hulk. And then for the final size comparison, of course, we have him alongside the Marvel Legends Bucky Cap and Marvel Legends Pizza Spider-Man. And then as far as the articulation goes, as I said before, he is pretty limited, but he's still fun to play with, and that's really what counts. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we have going on here. Starting off with the head, he does have a double ball peg joint at the head, so we get some pretty nice tilt. He can look side to side. He could look up to about right there, which is pretty decent. And then he could look down to right there, which is more important. So pretty good movement at the head. And then he does have a diaphragm cut. And at that diaphragm cut, he can move side to side. It could twist a pretty good amount. It could only go back to about right there, which is not a whole lot. And then same thing going forward. It only crunches forward to about right there. So I might want to modify it. We'll see. I don't know. I'm kind of okay with it because he's a big guy in armor. He doesn't really need to crunch forward all that much, but I'm sure it'll make him a little bit more dynamic if he was able to crunch forward just a little bit more, so we'll see. But yeah, pretty decent movement there at the diaphragm cut. And then he does have a waist joint, which it's a little redundant because you're able to get the twist from the torso. So the waist joint is kind of useless anyways, but it's definitely there. You're going to get most of your twists from the mid-torso here. And then for the arms, he does have ball jointed shoulders, so they do go all the way around. Then you could bring his arms out to the side to right there, which is pretty impressive because he's got a lot going on here on the shoulders. But yeah, look at that. Pretty good stuff there. And then he does have upper bicep swivel. He's got a single joint at the elbow, but look at that. Gets a pretty good bend there. Goes to 90, so that's definitely acceptable. And then he does have a swivel at the elbow as well. And then for the hands, we have a swivel and a hinge. So good stuff there. For the legs, his legs go forward a really good amount. And he does have this like plastic skirt thing, but it's very soft and it doesn't really get in the way of the articulation. Look at that. That's pretty good for such a big dude. And same thing going back. It only goes back to about right there. Still pretty decent. And then you could bring his legs out to the side. He's big, so forgive me because I'm wrestling with him a little bit. But his legs go out to the side to about right there, which is nice. Then he does have upper thigh swivel. Oh, and like the hip. Oh, okay. He's got a ball joint at the hip, so you get a little bit of movement there as well. So those kind of work together. That's nice. And then he does have single jointed knees. Bam, they bend to right there, which, you know, it's a little bit less than 90, but hey, it's all right. And then we have a swivel at the knee, and then at the foot, we can bring his foot forward to right there, which is nice. Bring him up to right there. Rocking ankles, and then he also has a swivel right there, so that is awesome stuff right there. I like that. I hate when a company has a perfect spot to put a swivel and then they leave it out, and I almost thought that was going to be the case here, but you know, we got this ball joint right here that looks good with the design and everything, and they went ahead and put the swivel. So awesome stuff. But yeah, man, like I said, limited but awesome and fun to play with. Some of the joints, like his knee joints, are a little loose. It's not too bad, but I'm scared that, like, you know, if I try to set him somewhere and push him down, look at like his knee, like he's gonna bend, he's gonna fall or something. But I guess you just have to be careful. But yeah, aside from that, like, this figure is a lot of fun to play with. Again, not crazy posable, but enough for such a big character. So I'm definitely satisfied with it. Alright, so overall, at the end of the day, when the smoke clears, the dust settles, and it's all said and done, I'm sure it's pretty obvious, but I freaking love this figure. I think that Marvel Select absolutely destroyed it. They did pretty much everything right on this guy. He looks incredible. He's got some pretty nice articulation. He's got some accessories, and he's big. He's a big, huge, massive, classic comic book character, and that's always welcome in my collection. So I'm very happy with what we have going on here. I love the way that he looks next to different Iron Man figures from other lines. Like, he fits in with Legends, he fits in with Mezco, he fits in with Marvel Select. So in that regard, I feel like I could get a lot of use out of this guy. And the articulation is limited, as I said several times in this video, but he's a lot of fun to play with, and that's what counts to me. And then for accessories, you know, blast effects or something like that would have been cool, but he's a big, huge figure, so I understand why they didn't put more in there. And even with the size, they still managed to give us something. They gave us an extra head and extra hands, so that is awesome too. One minor complaint I will say that I have about this figure is that some of his joints do feel a little loose. It's not excessively loose. It's not like he's just flopping around or anything, but you know, he's so big that any kind of loose joint makes me a little nervous because he could fall over and knock down a bunch of other figures. But yeah, really, that's my only complaint with this guy, and it's not that big of a deal. I'm just very, very satisfied with this purchase. This guy cost me like 30 bucks. What other company is going to give you this much for $30? It's just insane, you know? So that's a big reason why I stay pretty loyal to Diamond Select, and I always kind of keep an eye on what they have going on. Because even though oftentimes they don't give us the best figures ever, when they do, when they come through with like a really good figure, they knock it out of the park, and that's the case with this guy. That was the case with the Rampaging Hulk, and that's the case with Silver Centurion Iron Man. So 3 times this year, they've come through and given us like the best possible figure that they could, and I've been very happy every single time. So they did an incredible job, and I'm just really excited to have like this old classic version of Titanium Man. This isn't something that I ever thought that I'd see. Well, you know, these days, every company is like digging pretty deep, especially Diamond Select and Hasbro. So, you know, I guess it's not out of the question that we would have seen this guy eventually somewhere. But I'm just happy that they went with the old school look. You know, he's got the skirt going on, which is very like very weird looking. You wouldn't really see a skirt like this on a character design today. This is very like old school, and Diamond Select just really embraced that look, and they absolutely killed it. So I'm very happy with this guy, and with that, I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Also, be sure to hit the bell notification so you know every time that I go live. If you're not aware, I do go live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. and every Friday at 7 p.m. So come through, hang out, let's talk about toys and get weird. Thank you very much. Peace.